Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you the most in-depth analysis and thrilling updates from the world of daytime television. Today is a spectacular day to dive deep into the glamorous, cutthroat universe we all know and love. We are witnessing a seismic shift in power, a corporate war that has violently spilled over into deeply personal territory, threatening to destroy families and rewrite legacies. Let us unpack the explosive drama that is currently tearing our favorite characters apart. The fashion industry is notoriously fickle, but absolutely no one could have predicted the sheer magnitude of the earthquake caused by Hope Logan Spencer's monumental transition to the Logan Fashion House. After a grueling battle for respect and creative control at Forrester Creations, Hope finally took the leap, signing a life-changing contract with Katie Logan and Bill Spencer. The result has been nothing short of a global phenomenon. Hope's inaugural collection under the Logan banner has not merely succeeded. It has transcended all expectations, becoming an overnight sensation that is currently dominating runways from Milan to Paris, gracing international magazine covers, and taking over social media feeds worldwide. The visionary designs, coupled with the aggressive, brilliant marketing machinery of Spencer Publications and the strategic addition of Deke Sharp to her team, have elevated Hope to an unprecedented echelon of success. She is no longer just a talented designer. She is a global fashion icon, and her massive triumph is casting a dark, suffocating shadow over the very company that previously dismissed her immense worth. For Steffy Forrester Finnegan, this reality is a bitter, jagged pill that she is absolutely refusing to swallow. Steffy had fought tooth and nail to protect her co-CEO position, successfully thwarting Brooke Logan Forster's power grab and essentially pushing Hope out the door. Steffy truly believed that by exiling Hope, she was protecting Forrester Creations from unwanted drama and maintaining the purity of her family's prestigious empire. Instead, her actions have inadvertently created the most formidable competitor her family has ever faced in the modern era. Sitting in her luxurious executive office, Steffy is forced to watch as the legacy built by her grandfather, Eric Forrester, and painstakingly maintained by her father, Ridge Forrester, is eclipsed by the roaring, undeniable success of a Logan. The glowing reviews, the skyrocketing sales figures, and the relentless media praise for Hope are driving Steffy to the absolute brink of madness. Her professional jealousy has rapidly mutated into a blinding, all-consuming rage that is clouding her judgment. To truly understand Steffy's rapidly deteriorating psychological state, one must look at the deep-seated historical animosity between the Forresters and the Logans. For Steffy, Hope's success is not merely a matter of lost market share, delayed collections, or standard corporate rivalry. It is a profound, unforgivable personal attack. Steffy views Hope's alliance with Bill Spencer and Katie Logan as an act of supreme treason. In Steffy's mind, Forrester Creations gave Hope everything she ever had: the platform, the financial resources, the world-class PR, and the name recognition. She believes Hope took all of that meticulously cultivated capital and callously handed it over to their greatest rivals. The fact that the Logan brand is now outshining Forrester Creations is a direct, calculated insult to Ridge's life work, and Steffy, fiercely protective of her father and her heritage, feels an overwhelming, almost primal obligation to obliterate the threat. The immense pressure of watching her family's prestige crumble under her watch as co-CEO is fracturing Steffy's usual strategic composure, replacing her sharp business mind with a desperate, vindictive fury. This boiling cauldron of resentment inevitably spills over, leading to one of the most harrowing and explosive confrontations in recent memory. Unable to contain her fury within the walls of Forrester Creations any longer, Steffy storms out of the building and heads straight into the heart of enemy territory, Spencer Publications. She bypasses security with the sheer, terrifying force of her wrath, throwing open the heavy oak doors of Liam Spencer's executive office without a moment of hesitation. Liam, who has been riding high on the triumphant wave of his wife's success, a success he actively championed, encouraged, and orchestrated, is suddenly confronted by a hurricane of unbridled rage. The stark contrast between the quiet, victorious atmosphere of Liam's office and the chaotic, venomous energy Steffy brings into the room sets the stage for a devastating collision. Liam barely has time to stand up and process her sudden arrival before the vicious verbal onslaught officially begins. Steffy does not hold back a single ounce of her vitriol. Her voice, trembling with a volatile mixture of heartbreak and absolute fury, echoes off the glass walls of the office as she launches into a vicious, unrelenting tirade. She points a trembling finger directly at Liam's chest, screaming that Hope's so-called success is nothing but a calculated, malicious betrayal designed specifically to destroy the Forrester family from the inside out. Steffy loudly accuses Liam of being the primary architect of this unmitigated disaster, reminding him that it was his relentless pushing, his constant whispering in Hope's ear, and his endless campaigning that ultimately convinced her to abandon her loyalties and align with the manipulative Bill Spencer. Steffy paints a vivid, grotesque picture of Hope as a ruthless opportunist who took the glittering legacy of Ridge Forrester, chewed it up, and spat it out solely to elevate the Logan name to the top of the fashion hierarchy. The raw, unfiltered emotion in Steffy's voice reveals just how deeply she is hurting, but that hurt is entirely weaponized, aimed directly at Liam's heart and his conscience. The concept of legacy is central to Steffy's frantic, screaming attack. She details the sleepless nights Ridge has endured, the terrible bad press that is beginning to swirl around Forrester Creations, and the utter humiliation of being beaten at their own game by a company bankrolled by the Spencer fortune. Steffy demands that Liam take full, immediate responsibility for the corporate monster he has helped create. She insists that Hope's current glory is nothing more than stolen valor, built entirely on the sturdy foundation of Forrester's decades of hard work and sterling reputation. By framing Hope's career move as a malicious, targeted destruction of her father's life, Steffy is attempting to trigger Liam's inherent need to be the peacemaker, hoping to make him feel a crushing guilt for the collateral damage of Hope's massive triumph. But this intense guilt trip is merely the prelude to the true, waking nightmare Steffy has brought to his doorstep. Having laid the heavy groundwork of guilt and accusation, Steffy sharply pivots to a tactic so dark, so incredibly ruthless, that it completely shifts the paradigm of their entire relationship. With ice in her veins and a terrifying fire in her eyes, Steffy delivers an ultimatum that instantly freezes the blood in Liam's veins. She demands that Liam use his immense influence, his financial power, and his intimate position as Hope's husband to force Hope to resign from the Logan fashion house immediately. Furthermore, he must ensure that Hope severs all professional and personal ties with Bill Spencer and the entire Spencer Publications machinery without a second of delay. Steffy is not asking for a compromise, a delay, or a negotiation. She is demanding the total and utter annihilation of Hope's newly found independence and hard-earned success. She wants Hope completely stripped of her victory and brought to heel, and she is ordering Liam to be the executioner of his own wife's brightest dreams. When Liam inevitably balks at this insane draconian demand, stammering and questioning how Steffy could ever expect him to destroy the beautiful career he just spent months helping Hope build, Steffy drops the ultimate, devastating bomb. She steps closer, looks Liam dead in the eye with a chilling lack of empathy, and tells him that if he refuses to force Hope's resignation, she will immediately contact her high-powered lawyers and file for full, exclusive custody of their young daughter, Kelly. The words hang in the heavy air of the office like a grim death sentence. Steffy promises, with a terrifying calmness that contrasts sharply with her previous screaming, that she will use absolutely every resource at her disposal, every ounce of Forrester wealth, and every PR connection to paint Liam and his chaotic Spencer-Logan alliances as a fundamentally unfit, toxic environment for a growing child. She threatens to take Kelly away from him forever, ensuring that he will never see his little girl again unless he complies with her exact, uncompromising demands. This is a sacred line that Steffy has never crossed before, not even in their darkest moments. To use their innocent, beautiful daughter as a mere pawn in a corporate fashion war is an act of sheer, unadulterated cruelty. It demonstrates just how far Steffy has fallen into the dark abyss of her own vengeance and professional paranoia. She knows perfectly well that Kelly is Liam's entire world, the brightest light in his life, and the one profound vulnerability he cannot ever protect against. By weaponizing his deep love and his fatherhood, Steffy is violently stripping away all the established boundaries of their co-parenting relationship, reducing their shared history and mutual love for their child into a transactional, cold-blooded hostage situation. It is a terrifying, breathtaking display of maternal power, twisted entirely into a weapon of mass emotional destruction. Steffy is essentially forcing Liam to choose between the woman he currently loves and the precious child he brought into this world. Liam's reaction is one of profound, paralyzing, and agonizing shock. He stands completely frozen behind his large desk, the color rapidly draining from his face as the sheer horror of Steffy's words washes over his entire being. The solid floor seems to completely drop out from beneath his feet, leaving him in a state of suffocating, dizzying vertigo. He looks at the beautiful woman standing before him, the woman he has deeply loved, married multiple times, and shared the miracle of a child with, and realizes with a sickening jolt that he does not recognize her at all in this moment. The Steffy he knew, despite all their intense conflicts and rivalries, would never have weaponized their daughter in such a malicious, calculated manner. The sheer venom of her threat leaves Liam breathless, his mind racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour to process the catastrophic, life-altering implications of what she is demanding. He is trapped in a waking nightmare where every possible exit leads to unbearable pain, profound betrayal, and devastating loss. On one side of this impossible, agonizing scale is hope. Liam has spent grueling months fighting for hope to finally realize her true worth. He watched her suffer in silence under the oppressive weight of Forrester Creations, watched her brilliant designs get casually shelved by Steffy and Ridge, and watched her gentle spirit get crushed by the constant corporate maneuvers. When Hope finally signed that contract with Logan, Liam celebrated it as a massive, necessary victory for her independence, her immense talent, and her mental health. To turn around now, look his wife in the eyes, and force her to resign, to tell her that she must abandon the greatest triumph of her professional life, would be an act of supreme, unforgivable betrayal. It would instantly break Hope's heart, permanently shatter her fragile trust in him, and more than likely destroy their marriage beyond repair. Liam knows that if he complies with Steffy's demand, he will be extinguishing the brilliant, shining light he worked so incredibly hard to help Hope find. On the other side of the treacherous scale is Kelly. The mere thought of losing his daughter, of having his fundamental parental rights stripped away by a judge, and being reduced to a distant spectator in her life, sends a jolt of pure, unadulterated terror through Liam's soul. He knows Steffy is a formidable, relentless adversary. With the massive Forrester legal team behind her, the endless financial resources, and the easily spun narrative of the chaotic, scandalous Spencer family at her disposal, she could very well succeed in a vicious custody battle. Steffy is a fierce, protective mother, and when she feels backed into a corner, she fights to the absolute death. Liam cannot, and will not, gamble with his daughter's future or his presence in her life. The instinct to protect his relationship with Kelly is primal, overwhelming, and absolute, clashing violently with his desperate desire to protect his wife's happiness. He is being torn in two completely opposite directions, his heart bleeding out onto the floor of his executive office. This horrifying confrontation marks a dark, tragic, and permanent evolution of the infamous Liam, Steffy, and Hope love triangle. For years, their endless conflicts were rooted primarily in matters of the heart. Who loved whom? who belonged with whom, and where destiny lay. But now, the stakes have been violently elevated to a terrifying new level. This is no longer just about romantic jealousy or lingering feelings. It is about absolute corporate domination, the survival of family legacies, and the fundamental, sacred rights of parenthood. Steffi's tragic inability to separate her professional defeat from her personal vendetta has turned a standard business rivalry into a scorched earth, apocalyptic war. By dragging innocent little Kelly directly into the crossfire, Steffy has ensured that no matter what Liam ultimately decides to do, there will be permanent, irreparable damage inflicted upon all of their lives. The relative innocence of their past romantic struggles has been entirely replaced by a ruthless, cutthroat reality where no one is safe. Furthermore, in the midst of this suffocating panic, Liam must also consider the terrifying wrath of his own father. Bill Spencer has invested massive amounts of capital, precious time, and unparalleled PR resources into making Hope's Logan line a global, unstoppable success. Bill views this massive victory as a deeply personal triumph over the Forrester family, a validation of his own empire. If Liam attempts to force Hope to break her ironclad contract, he will not only be betraying his loving wife, but he will also be declaring an all-out, bloody war on his own father. Bill Spencer does not take kindly to sabotage, especially when it comes from within his own ranks and targets his financial investments. Liam finds himself agonizingly caught between the unstoppable force of his father's ambition, the immovable, terrifying object of Steffi's vindictive rage, and the fragile, beautiful, hard-earned success of his wife. It is a suffocating, inescapable web of conflicting loyalties and lethal threats, with Liam trapped squarely in the center, struggling just to breathe. As Steffy finally turns on her designer heel and marches out of the office, her terrifying ultimatum hanging heavy and toxic in the silence she leaves behind, Liam is left completely and utterly broken. He sinks slowly into his leather executive chair, burying his pale face in his trembling hands as the crushing weight of the world crashes down upon his shoulders. He must now make a choice that will irrevocably define the rest of his entire life. Does he stand bravely by Hope, protecting her hard-earned success, their beautiful marriage, and her creative soul, while risking the devastating, soul-crushing loss of his daughter in a brutal courtroom battle? Or does he bow his head to Steffi's cruel, manipulative blackmail, securing his rightful place in Kelly's life but destroying Hope's dreams and his own moral integrity in the process? There is no right answer, no easy way out, and no compromise to be found. Steffi's sheer, blinding desperation has unleashed a massive storm that will leave absolutely no survivor unscathed. And as Liam agonizes over his next move, the fate of two powerful families, one marriage, and one little